hidden characters, secret islands, werewolves, ghosts, Luigi, pregnant dogs. Everyone's heard a gaming rumor before that they wished was true.
Okay guys, this is how you unlock Luigi in Super Mario 64.
And sometimes they actually were. Today, I'm here to deep dive into the weirdest ones, and as we get further into this iceberg, the darker they're gonna get. And I promise you, there's gonna be a lot on here that you've never heard before, starting with the surface. To be honest, there are so many insane rumors out there, and I wanted each entry to be as well researched as possible, which obviously takes a lot of work. So I'm going to have to split this iceberg into parts so that each legend gets the love it deserves, especially our first entry. I'm gonna keep this brief because everyone knows who Herobrine is, especially because Mojang used to reference the entity in every major update for a while, but there's actually a little more to the story most people haven't heard. For example, in the original story, Herobrine was actually a girl, and originally went by the name White Eyes. Kinda boring. Eventually, the story evolved into being the dead brother of the game's creator Notch, and gaining the title Herobrine with all the altars and stuff. But I guess Herobrine has also had entire books written about him, calling him the god of fear and the king of monsters, pigmen, and the nether, and can be summoned by killing animals with lava, according to Notch. Most people tend to forget though, Herobrine summoned hundreds of copycat stories, most of which are not good. The most famous example is called Entity 303, which is basically just Herobrine except he comes into the real world and touches you or whatever. There's also Green Steve and Jesse Brine, but I really don't want to talk about those. Mario 64 is arguably the reason video game rumors are even still talked about to this day. The classic L is real rumor caused hundreds of thousands of kids to search every nook and cranny of this creepy ass castle looking for any hint of Luigi, including myself. All of this insanity led to the creation of the Mario 64 Iceberg video, and many people, even to this day, still believe there are secrets hidden within this game, like the theory that your copy would use AI to change itself to fit you. But even now, people are still milking the creepiness of this game, making content about weird beta ROM hacks, haunted cartridges, creepy fan music, theories about the gas in the basement being Peach's farts, the Wario apparition, the Bowser room. New rumors and urban legends are formed about this game every single day, and that's probably the only entry on this list that you could even say that for. My favorite one though, for sure, was definitely the one about Waluigi being playable in Mario 64 DS. I tried everything. I swear he's in there somewhere. Now, I'm not that knowledgeable on Call of Duty, so I've decided to bring in my good friend and professor of codology at the University of Cambridge, Dr. Jerry Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Overload. Now, in 2008, we were blessed with Call of Duty World at War, which was the first ever COD to include the revolutionary Zombies mode. And with it came the Mystery Box, the greatest gambling machine in gaming history. Players, however, soon discovered the existence of Wonder Weapons, extremely rare and powerful map-exclusive guns, such as the Wonder Wall, Thunder Gun, and famously, the Ray Gun. And as with anything rare and powerful, players perform all sorts of rituals to try and guarantee these guns. Even though the only people who believe this were stupid children, these rumors remain mainly obscure. Mainly. Until Black Ops became the best-selling series in Call of Duty history and introduced the Ray Gun Mark II. And with it came hundreds of forum posts and YouTube videos discussing weird ways to try and get the Ray Gun.
If your screen is not red, a clown will come out and rape your family a second time. Because I know all of you watching this video have some sort of experience with molestation.
However, despite all this schizophrenia, this is just another mule under the truck. But in newer games, this rumor has become a feature, where punching the box allows other players to steal your mystery prize. Anyway, Cameron, I gotta bounce to Oxford.
When you make a game with a massive creepy forest, people are bound to start seeing things. In July of 2005, GTA San Andreas was removed from almost every major store in the country because of a minigame where CJ takes his girlfriend to Pleasure World. Even though it was a deleted mission only accessible through mods, that didn't stop parents from losing their minds and getting Rockstar threatened with a $1 million fine. Rockstar then re-released the game, scrubbing any possible mention of these files, but it got people wondering about what else could have been removed. Now, no one really knows where this myth came from, since there are posts discussing a Monkey Man dating back to a week after the game came out, but the story really blew up with this picture that came out around the 05 re-release, and people went insane. hundreds of extremely low quality videos started appearing all over YouTube. It got so popular that Rockstar ended up including Bigfoot 13 years later in Red Dead 2. And even GTA 5, where you can eat a golden cactus and hallucinate that you are Bigfoot, putting this 20-year-old rumor to rest. The original Pokemon Red, Blue, and Green are weird games, but were also incredibly unique to American audiences at the time. And because of that, these games probably spawned more rumors than any other game in history. Genuinely just too many to go into detail about. So I'm giving myself 1 minute to explain the 10 most famous Generation 1 rumors. Let's see if I can do this. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Mew under the truck was this rumor about this truck that was by a sand that you could move and Mew would be under there. The Bill's house rumor was this rumor about Bill's house where you could get a bunch of weird, rare Pokemon behind it. The Peekaboo theory was this theory about when Meryl was shown early and they didn't know the name, so they called it Peekaboo, because it's Blue Pikachu. Lavender Town rumor was this rumor about the music in Lavender Town that had sent a bunch of Japanese kids to the hospital in the original version, in the beta or whatever. Mew3 is this legend about an evolution of Mewtwo where if you evolved him, he became a Pokemon called Mew3. Dead Eradicate theory is this theory about Bill's Eradicate being dead, and that's why he's in Lavender Town, that's why he doesn't have it on his team anymore. Stars evolution rumor is when is this theory about you can go to this place called Charizard Island and evolve the starters to be a 4th evolution. The Marowak theory is this theory that you could evolve Marowak into being Kangaskhan. The Pokegods rumor is this rumor about all these Pokemon legendaries that were gods. The Pokemon Black rumor is this rumor about this version of Pokemon Red and Blue, and it was called Pokemon Black, and you could get the ghost as a starter. Oh my god. On a side note, when I was researching for this section, I found these comments left by this guy, and he's left like 20 comments talking about how much he loves this girl from the Pokemon anime, who's 11 by the way. If Lily were in real life, I would interact with her and she will be my GF. Okay? I love Lily. Lily is so sexy. It would be gross if Lily peed or pooped her dress, but I would love it. Lily is my waifu. What? What is this, bro? He's made like 30 of these and they're all completely insane. I had to share this with somebody. I feel like I'm losing my mind. If you like what I'm doing, make sure to behead that subscribe button and willfully cause great suffering or serious injury to body or health of my Discord and Instagram. Links down below. Back to the video. This one is pretty simple. This one is pretty simple. A year after Club Penguin released, the devs introduced an Iceberg location where most of the in-game events and parties were held. Pretty much immediately, people began trying to flip the iceberg by either drilling or dancing on one side, and Disney actually acknowledged these rumors. Developers began hiding pictures of a flipped iceberg in the background of locations, and referencing the story in Club Penguin's in-game newspaper. But obviously it was just a rumor, until Club Penguin was unfortunately shot and killed by Disney in 2017. Though, Disney did decide to give the fans one last farewell event. Yeah, so apparently there was a dance floor under there, and then they killed it. FNAF came out in 2014 and it was shrouded in all sorts of mystery because of the numerous secrets and Easter eggs hidden within the game. A Tumblr user named Bear noticed that people had a really hard time telling what was true and what wasn't. So he made a drawing of a dog character and claimed he unlocked it in his game, not really thinking that deeply about it. But since most fan characters during this time were pretty bad, people loved it. Sparky got so popular that Bear decided to commission an admittedly pretty high quality render of Sparky lurking in the backstage shadows. Since a dog is generic enough that any of the characters kind of look like one from certain angles, other people started to spread that they too had seen Sparky. 2 days after his original post, Bear came forward and admitted that he made it all up, adding that apparently he got a lot of hate from people who were weirdly very pissed about this silly dog. But people just kind of ignored that and kept spreading the rumor. Sparky eventually got so popular that it ended up becoming official in the FNAF movie, and is probably the only fan character in history that I can think of with that level of recognition. Super Smash Bros. Melee has 4 major rumors in its history, one of which I'm pretty sure never even existed. Let's start with the most famous one. Back in 2002, Electronic Gaming Monthly ran a section in its magazine claiming that Sonic and Tails were unlockable in Melee, which for 2001 standards was one of the highest quality hoaxes ever seen. Even though it was very clearly a joke to most people who read it, that didn't stop it from being spread far enough that even Nintendo themselves had to say that it wasn't true. Then there's the Toad rumor, which is less exciting. pretty much just a knockoff of the Sonic rumor, but without any of the credibility or the hype. I mean, you get it, that's the whole rumor. A rumor I found pretty unique though starts 11 years after Melee's release. A user named Kednim shows up on an old gaming forum and drops what he claimed was insider info about Melee's development, and what characters were cut from its roster and why. Most of these characters ended up being included later, and Sakurai wasn't exactly chatty about Melee's history, so people had no reason to doubt him, but not everybody bought it. Some users called him out, and over time, cracks started to appear in his story. When the contradictions piled up and people pressed him for proof, he finally admitted that he made it all up, and was eventually banned, which makes me wonder why lie about something so random in the first place. But now, let's talk about a rumor that's a little bit different. This one starts with a pretty standard story. Around Melee's release, rumors circulated that you could play as Master Hand. Unoriginal, I know. Well, jump to 2008, and suddenly a glitch is discovered that actually lets you play as Master Hand. This seemingly confirms the old rumor, and most poorly researched videos about this topic will parrot the same claim. The glitch proved the rumor true in a way.
The first of these was the rumor that you could in fact play as the White Glove himself, Master Hand. The best thing about this rumor is that it's true. You can actually play as Master Hand in Melee.
Except here's the weird part. For the life of me, I can't find any actual evidence of this rumor existing before the glitch. No forum posts, no screenshots, no old videos, nothing. It's like the whole thing was retroactively made up after the glitch was found. And yet, because so many videos repeat the same story, people just believe it now. It's a fake rumor about a fake rumor, which to me is far more interesting. Gamers only want one thing, and if you pressed these buttons in 1991's Rings of Power on the Sega Genesis, you got to see boobs. So obviously gamers looked at blocky ass Lara Croft and spent years trying to take her clothes off. Like, this made the news. But Core Design Studios are generous people, so in Tomb Raider 2 they finally gave us a code that worked. Spice World was a very unknown Spice Girls rhythm game that also supposedly had some buttons you could press that would show you the naked Spice Girls. But wait, this one's real? What? Those are real people. Whose idea was this?
There they are. And if it wasn't for those chairs, this would be really interesting.
These rumors existed for practically every game during this time period. Mortal Kombat, GoldenEye, Ocarina of Time. Wait, aren't those children? Half-Life 2? Wait, actually, I kind of get this one. And Ratchet and Clank for some reason. Supposedly, if you jump around this NPC, her assets would get bigger, which is just a ridiculous rumor. Oh, and of course, this one's real too. The last entry on this tier is one I know you're familiar with. By now, everyone and their mom has seen an anti-piracy screen or two in the recommended, and there's a lot of history to this genre of horror. It's a trend that was so well made that thousands of people still have no idea that 90% of them were fake. But that was never really the point. Back in the 90s and 2000s, a lot of games had built-in systems to detect whether you were playing a legitimate copy or running it on some kind of bootleg device. Unlike today where pirated games just don't work or are nearly impossible to crack, developers back then had a little more fun with it. They'd mess with the player in ways that wasted their time or worse. Famous examples like Spyro, Earthbound, and Ocarina of Time would let you get all the way to the end of the game before pulling the rug out from under you, either deleting your save file or locking you out right before the final chapters. But some developers decided to take a slightly different approach. They wanted to make sure you never pirated ever again. Fast forward to late 2020 when hundreds of so-called anti-piracy screens flooded YouTube, all starting with the now infamous Mario Party DS screen. It was just believable enough to kickstart one of the biggest trends of that year. Suddenly, everybody was finding these bizarre, creepy hidden events in old games. And while most of them were clearly not meant to be taken seriously, that didn't stop a huge number of people from buying into it. Like yeah, people genuinely believed a demon would kill Mario if you didn't buy the game. As the trend picked up steam, creators really pushed it to its limits with insane examples like your Nintendog dying of scurvy and whatever this is. But the funniest part to me was the comment section wars. People fighting tooth and nail over whether these were real or claiming that they totally had this happen to them as kids. Even though this trend has mostly fizzled out, I think it's a perfect snapshot of what gaming urban legends are all about. Gamers having an absolute blast lying to each other and making some really creative stuff in the process, which makes it a really fitting way to close out the video. And as always, thank you for watching and good night.